So good afternoon everyone, and welcome to the penultimate panel conversation of the Speedy Hire Expo. I'm delighted to have Paul Jackson with us for this, and he is also joined by Danny Johnson. So the topic today for this panel session is around transformation and how we align that with a velocity strategy to drive the growth that we've been talking about over the past few days. So Paul, we hear a lot about, obviously, velocity and transformation and the transformation project pretty much every day now across the business. But what does that mean for Speedy Hire?
Yeah, I mean, if I take a bit of a step back, actually, and think about when we were looking at velocity and we're looking at the areas of growth and the areas of opportunity, I guess what was really clear was just the quantity of things that we could go after. There was lots of different areas where we could put effort to change the way that we operate and we do things. And when you looked at all those, what was clear was almost that the total of those was greater than the sum of the parts. And they're all interdependent, all interwoven to one another. So if you were to do them in a coordinated manner, what you could achieve is an outcome much greater than you could by just focusing on each individual piece. So that led us to this conclusion that there's a great opportunity here to think about what do we want Speedy as an entirety to be in the future, and not to think about a series of individual projects and programs in maybe a more traditional manner, but think about how do we create that future Speedy, the one that we all want to work in, the one that customers want to interact more effectively with, and that is a transformation. You know, that is moving us from where we are today to where we want to be in the future.
Yeah. And I think, Danny, just to sort of bring you in on this, you've obviously been with the business, very long time now. You've seen a lot of these sort of strategies come and go before. I think from an operational perspective, how does what Paul's saying, on the sort of theoretical side of it, which we can see happening at the moment and it's being delivered, but how do we deliver that operationally within the business?
I think it'll be a challenge. I think if we have to be truthful with ourselves, that this is why this isn't going to be done in the next 3 to 6 months. I think, like you say, for me being here 22 years, I've seen change and I've seen things being done differently, but to see the scale and the actual full transformation I've never seen that to that level. But I think what it will give us is all the challenges that we see day to day in the business, finding equipment, locating it, booking it out, talking to the customers, delivering it. This is where you can see that end goal and the simplification and the ease in the depots to support our customers and how they support us. That's the bit that really excites me.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously where the biggest opportunity is as well, because we are at the heart of what we do. We are a business that gets kit to customers, cutting back to really what we do. So, Paul, how did we, sort of thinking back to when we were developing the strategy, why are we transforming? What is the reason we're doing this now?
Yeah, I mean, broadly, building on to what Danny was saying, when I think about the danger with terms like transformation, digital transformation, they become a bit of a cliche, they become a bit of a buzzwords. And so you kind of need to get under the skin a little bit about what that means. And I broadly look at 3 areas, and the one Danny talks about is our operations. How do we become more effective in our operations so we ultimately can do more? We want transformation and velocity is about a growth story. It's about how we grow, how this business grows, but we don't want to grow by just chucking more effort and increasingly more effort in. So ultimately we need to become more efficient. And so how we build that efficiency in our operational capabilities, giving people the tools to do the jobs that they need is one of the core parts of it.
And let's be honest, when we need something in the business or we need to make things happen, we put in cost.
Yeah.
We put in resource. The answer to everything is we need more heads.
Yeah.
We need to do this, so I need more overhead. And you can't continue that way, because if you keep continuing that way, it's always going to be about putting top line on to pay for it. So we need to balance being more effective and more efficient, but then growing the revenue as well. So I think when you work in a depot and you can see some of the challenges, and then you don't have to worry about that anymore because the system is telling us how to do it, and it's locating the equipment, it's in the right status, and have you got one of those? the calls, the amount of calls that we probably make into depot every day, reaffirming what we should know already, is madness.
Yeah.
And that's resource and time, isn't it?
Yes, and we talk about that operational aspect, and then what that results in is essentially the experience we give to our customers, the service that we give to our customers, and if we get this right, then actually we can think about how technology and systems can play a better role in actually being able to deliver that great, better experience. Whether that's some of our major customers and how they interact with us on a day-to-day basis, right the way through to the sort of more trade and retail side. And I think using technology in the right way, you can really optimise the experience for both of those different sort of segments and everyone in the middle.
We can't sit still, Paul, can we?
No.
I mean, essentially, it's okay saying, we're doing what we've been doing and we've grown, but let's be straight, as Paul Rayner said yesterday, we've got to find £200 million worth of revenue. Yeah. And that's exciting, because I think everybody who's a shareholder or somebody that's part of the company will see the benefits to growing at that level and obviously increasing the profit. So customers are demanding it.
Yeah.
We can't just tick along doing what we've always done. We've got to test ourselves and challenge, which this is why there are so many layers, aren't there, and levels of this to get done. It's making sure the priorities are right first to see the benefits.
And I think that's exactly it. And I think there are, the more and more we sort of peel back the layers on the transformation project, and as we sort of go through, because as you said, Danny, we're not going to just get to an end goal. We're going to have to keep transforming, because as we've seen, the targets, that we've got to meet, are significant, but at the same time, they're a great opportunity as well. And I think one of the things, we've obviously spoke about why we're doing this from a commercial perspective, but I think the point that you make, Danny, about the sort of operational side of a business, I think our colleagues want to be, especially in the depot network, they want to be doing stuff that they are there to do. They want to get the kit to the customer. They want to maximise the customer experience. They don't want to be making a million calls about trying to find out why a piece of kit is in Aberdeen when it should be in, Tamworth. So actually, how do you see that, driving, sort of how happy people are at their work and enjoying what we do as well?
I think part of this is the roles and responsibilities. So one of the strands of the operational excellence is giving clear definition of what our colleagues do.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, in some of the smaller locations, you're in T&R, you're a driver, you serve the customer, then you open up, and we know that. And that's why you've probably seen, we know that we're opening bigger, we're opening newer, we're consolidating locations, so we can, allow people to have more flexibility, to be clear on their role and their definition. But Dan said it yesterday, we can't just put 100 new depots or whatever the number might be tomorrow. We have to build it gradually. It starts with a Milton Keynes or an Aberdeen, an Edinburgh, a Leicester, a Hull, Southampton's coming, Birmingham's. We've come a long way in 2 years.
We have.
But that bulks out those locations to support.
And when you think about that, and understanding those roles in each of those locations that we want people to do, what that then allows us to do is really equip them with the tools they need to do those jobs as effectively as you can. And, I think we have to be honest. At times, our colleagues are battling systems.
Absolutely.
They're not. The systems aren't helping them as much as they need to. Things are a bit slower than they want. And connecting back to something you said earlier is about often one of the reasons for that is we often think about programs and projects being done and delivered, and we move on to the next thing, and that's often at the expense of actually that last bit, that last 20%, which is where you often get a lot of the benefit. So one of the things we're doing as part of this is thinking about how we deliver change, such that we're continually evolving, we're continually iterating. Things aren't done as such. These are products we talk about which continually evolve to our needs, and we need to build the tools, the systems and capabilities in order to allow us to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one of the things that's really becoming quite apparent from the transformation project is, as I say, when we get to the end of the transformation, that will, as you say, that will continue to evolve over time. I think we've touched on, what it sort of means for us internally, what it means for our Speedy colleagues, not just within operations, but across the business. But I think one of the things, that I just want to sort of press on now, but what does this mean for our customers, Paul, first of all, and how will they benefit from us going on this transformation journey?
I mean, the simple answer to that, the high-level answer is we are able to give a much better service and a much better experience to our customers. As in when they ask for a quote for something, we're able to instantaneously give them prices, times, and do so with a level of confidence and accuracy that we can 100% stand behind that. We know things are going to turn up at the site at 8:10 tomorrow morning. That's not a guess. Yeah. That is actually systematically enforced, and we have data which shows it. So you add all these things together, which ultimately means you just got a much better service and experience from them. The other thing is, I think what we want to be able to do is present Speedy, the whole of Speedy, to our customers. No matter how they interact with us. So we're then able to cross-sell things to them, and that's not obviously there's a benefit for us to that, but actually it's a much benefit to our customers as well. You've got inspection, we've got training, we've got consumables. Actually, let's look at the entirety of it. So we offer them a more complete package, and you as a colleague on a desk or as a hire controller, you don't need to be a specialist in any one of these areas in order to be able to give confident answers to those questions. The systems help and guide you as much as they can, either directly or via them. So I think that, there's as much benefit for our customers here as there is internally.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And I think it's the ease to do business. That's the simple way of putting it, that the competitors do a similar thing, there's similar product ranges, and what do we do stand out? We just need to give the ability of our teams to say yes quicker, but with confidence and honesty that it will be there on time. But we talk about channel of choice as well, because where we benefit, which we should be really proud of, we have such a diverse customer base, from the local and the retail work to the regional sector, now to the big, more major strategic players, and each of those demand different things. So some want to use the app, some want to use the website, don't they? Someone, as I say, Dave wants to call Dave at the local depot. That still happens, and we have to respect that, because that's how we'll generate revenue. But us getting better at each of those things, which starts with our people, doesn't it? And that's the confidence. But we should be looking now at time slots, shouldn't we, Paul? I think they're the things. So if we can book online and say your equipment will be delivered between 10 and 12, and you need to pay for it, just to be really clear. But who else is doing that in the hire sector at the moment? And that's part of the transformation point.
Yeah, and I think the things we're talking about here, you could argue that in hire would be relatively groundbreaking, in some of these things. However, if you look in other industries, they're standard, they're expected. We as consumers, whether you're buying something online or you're taking out travel insurance, no matter what it is, whatever sector, some of these things are standard, and there are complexities in our business in the way we operate, but there's no reason why we should not be benefiting from these as well.
Yeah. Logistics is huge. Sorry, Dave, because this is a really good one for the customers, I think. Logistics is huge, and Rob's standing over there smiling, but his job is to make it far simpler, and the amount of times that we know we have the same vehicle driving in the same direction that's not fully full. And we shouldn't. We should be making sure that we're being very efficient in the way that our logistics move, and multiply that by the number of 1,000 commercial vehicles across the business. Having that tracked and understood, that's then the benefit of the customer, because we can put more products on and we can make sure it gets there quicker. So we're not having that, it's got to come from 6 different depots to come to a site. They just want ease, don't they? So
I think that's it, and I think you hit the nail on the head really when you said, saying yes to the customer quicker, but being completely honest, open and transparent about when they're going to get that kit. Because actually, we've obviously had our sort of, market leading 4-hour delivery proposition for a while now, but actually, as we expand on that, what is now appropriate for the marketplace may be a timed delivery. They need it at, need it to be on site at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, ready to use, when the day starts. So actually offering, advantages like that actually then start to compete. So we're not talking about price all the time. We are adding value to the customer, so we become a trusted partner. I think just sort of reflecting on that, and I think it's really important that I think we sort of address some of the challenges that we've got at the moment, but also where we see challenges coming on down the line at us as well. So what challenges have we initially faced? We are, well into it now, well into the transformation plan, but how have you sort of managed those challenges, and how have you sort of stayed on top of them?
Yeah. I mean, the first one is what we're talking about in a lot of these areas is we need new skills and capabilities in our business in order to be able to work different ways, which we didn't have arguably before that. And I know there's people out here now which are new to the business, and they're bringing skills and experience which are absolutely vital to this journey. People who have done this before, who have seen what good looks like, and can bring that in from outside, and just add to the entire capability of the organisation. So that was one of those challenges where you saw actually we can, by bringing some key skills and capabilities in, supplementing what we've got already, you get something really quite powerful. I think the big challenge that's coming, if you like, is the level of change fundamentally that this will bring into the business, both in the offices, in the depots, across the piece. There'll be no aspect of the business that isn't touched. And so the question for us is just how do you deal with that? We've got people running the business as well as trying to sort of simultaneously trying to change the way they do it, and that's complex.
I think it's a really, really good point, and I think it's great because you talk the transformation side, the technical side, and I'm trying to talk about how it is day to day in the depots and the locations and what people are feeling. And you're right, and we're seeing this journey 4 years ahead now, and how does that affect me? I'm still trying to do my day job, and I'm overloaded already, and I've got so much on, and then we've got to make time to go and look at what we're doing for the future and how we're going to get involved with it, and I can't see the benefits now, and it's the future. So this comes down to us. It comes to our communications. It's the transformation team that's out there. But I think where we've come in the first year is a huge leap now. But our colleagues are going to have to accept we are significantly going to change our business for the better over the next 4 years, but that will come in time.
But if you take that piece around managing change and leading through change through there, I guess the good thing is we recognise that, and we put programs in place to help some of our leaders and our managers who maybe not have experienced that before deal with it. Some of those have even started today. So these are things sort of trying to predict where those challenges are and build programs and work around that to try and accommodate them before we get there, before they hit us.
Let's be honest, I never talk about data. It's not really my bag, but the data cleansing and the integrity and making sure that we have the stock in the right status and it says what it is on our system, that's a huge job. And that's a lot of work that we've got to do in the background, and there's going to be time, there's going to be effort, there's going to be people that are going to be involved with that. But there's so many things we have to get right in able to push that and be ready. So
I think one of the things that I've always said is, in a couple of weeks, I'll have been at Speedy for 3 years. And I think one of the things I've always seen as a huge potential within the business, where actually some of our sort of legacy systems, that you've obviously came on board to change, Paul, and, as we transform the business, they'll be replaced. But the one thing that's always been quite noticeable with me is actually the potential that if we get this right, then that is really going to sort of put our sort of growth trajectory, it'll set it off, on a whole different level. How do you see that impacting growth, particularly when we talk about the numbers we're hearing, £200 million of extra revenue in an incredibly tight marketplace? How do you see that sort of impacting on the bottom line?
In terms of how the transformation program velocity is contributing to that, I think, I talked previously around how we're giving a better service to our customers. So there's an intrinsic underlying, we're able to convert better, we're able to grow basket value. I think there is parts of the market where we're potentially not as big as we could be. So the trade and retail side, it's a relatively small proportion of our sales today, but it's a great opportunity for us, and some of the capabilities we're building will directly allow us to target that market and really capitalise on that growth. And then even on the other side of the market, some of our bigger customers, we want to become more seamlessly integrated with them in many ways. And that's both for our benefit, but it's ultimately for their benefit as well. Be as easy as possible to do business with. So there is no reason why anyone should consider going anywhere else. And I think all the various elements will sum up to allow us to do that.
Yeah. I think it's getting more from the customers that we've got.
Yeah.
I think part of the challenge, I'll say this quite openly, if we just said yes to the inquiries that we take already, then naturally we would grow. We wouldn't need more customers. But I think we've got to retain what we have and then enhance that experience of what they're doing. But some of the stuff that I'm seeing now with Power BI that is now coming through to the depots, which giving instant data and information, which we didn't have before. Some of the work that Andrew Lomax has done around carbon reporting. So we're giving customers things they've never seen before, which will make us stand out for the competition, which they get that trust in us. They don't have a reason to go elsewhere, do they? So it's just taking more of that share of wallet.
And there's specific initiatives as well. We talk about CRM, a customer relationship management platform, a way of aggregating all that customer data together so we can really understand who are our customers today, what they buying from us, what they're not buying from us, how do we target them more effectively, where are the sales leads. In many ways, we're sort of chopping the arms off some of our sales and marketing teams by not having these capabilities.
Absolutely.
So, by giving them the tools they need to do the job again, you'll see some of that growth come through.
Yeah, and I think just I guess speaking from personal experience here, if we can sort that out, and as a business, just to elaborate on the point you made around understanding what our customers buy and how we can how that opens up cross-sell opportunities. If we, as a sales and marketing team, that then allows us to get on with that and do it. So that is a growth engine and a revenue stream in itself, which we've never really maximised before. So the opportunity for us, I think, as a business is significant. I think just in terms of, the transformation plan it's well established now. What are you most excited about within this journey?
Good question. I feel nervous picking on any one particular area because I'll sort of disadvantage others. I think there's some areas which I think are going to be some really big visible changes. I think what we're planning to do with some of our external facing digital channels, I think that will surprise people about the scale of the change, and it will really sort of a huge step change. So I'm really excited to see people's faces, when these things start to come live. And that's the danger with that one is it's external facing, but actually what you will see is that being available to internal colleagues as well, or versions of it. So actually just being able to find products easy internally when you're on a desk, being able to sort of again cross-sell. I think some of those elements, those very visual sides, both internally and externally, I think they will just have such an immediate positive impact when they land and start to appear. That I can't wait to see how people react to that.
I think it's really simple for me when I start getting noise from the depots going, wow, this is easier, this is simpler. I think the big one is the asset, the forecasting, the replenishment, and the stock accuracy. And it's quite a boring response there, but the impact of having the truth and the confidence of the truth, that then just cuts all those internal phone calls, emails, time that we constantly have day to day. I'm not saying it's normal, it happens, but I think the trust to just, I know that, there's 3 of them, yes, no problem, take the order, done. And then backed up by the logistics because you know exactly when they're coming back or what time they're coming back and the size of that vehicle, and it's done for you. The telephony, I've got quite a few here actually, but understanding how quick we answer a phone, and understanding where our locations are struggling for resource, or where we need to back up and support in our trading desks or in our solutions business, because it's given us that information and that data to make decisions and shift people around if we need to back it up. So.
I mean, you glue that together with the front-facing channels, and you put it on the back of order management and accurate forecasting, replenishment capabilities, and you look at that whole end-to-end process, and you can see why this is a transformation. That is essentially the full life cycle of a transaction that we're completely changing. So, in many ways, you imagine what that would be like. We talk about sort of this ability to order at the click of a button. That whether it be one button or whether it's 2, I'm not particularly worried about this stage, but the principle of a transaction taking seconds rather than minutes. And again, having the confidence that all elements of the fulfillment of that, be it picking in the depot to load in the van to maybe even moving it around the network, is seamless and doesn't involve people phoning each other. It doesn't involve paper. It just happens. Yeah. I mean, and that's not me, smoking some strange substance here, thinking about how that's real. That's how businesses, logistics organisations work, and it's very doable.
CapEx as well. Sorry, because I think it's important. While our suppliers are here, we have to have a feel that we need things. We're using, utilisation is at this. We've got this. Having a true where we don't even have to worry about it. It's telling us we need to buy how many, and we're forecasting what's needed. That it's the decisions that we made before we're having to make the decisions, if that makes sense. The information is there to tell us.
When we were in the sort of planning stages of this, just because I think one of the things that's really becoming apparent from this conversation is one of the driving factors behind this is saving time to enhance the customer experience and make Speedy more profitable. So was there any sort of calculation about how much time is essentially wasted on tasks that, like you've described, Danny's described? Was there any calculation around that at all?
At a high level, I would say. I think as the programs and pieces of work evolve, we'll get into more detail on each one of these. But and I think when you spend time with our colleagues in depots, you see it, you feel it. I remember very early on in my my Speedy career, with some of our B&Qs, standing there and watching people literally battling the system, taking minutes, 10 minutes or so to raise a transaction. And you go, this is huge. There is a huge opportunity here.
I kind of don't want to know, because if I hear the level of inefficiency we're doing, but I'm making it out. Hopefully, I'm not that. We're not running well or we're not operating well. We're doing a bloody good job. So let's be really clear on that. There's anything the teams are doing. We're working hard. We're in no worse position than any other company. This is just about taking it to the next level, isn't it? It's just pushing ourselves to be even better than we are already. Yeah. This is a negative of how we're trading at the moment. It's just the fact that if you went and asked any of our depot managers or NSC or any of the colleagues in operations, they would say the same challenges. Yeah. And our job is to transform that and make their life simpler.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And I think, as I say, as you've said, I work quite closely with a sort of depot network, the guys on the desks and so on, and it is no reflection on the fact that, as I say, that they do incredible jobs and often quite difficult and challenging circumstances. But I think the one thing, as I say, that this will just give them so much opportunity, not just, as I say, from a sort of career development perspective, because I'm sure that will be one of the byproducts as well, but also at the same time, it will allow them, as I said earlier, to focus on what is important to them and us as a business, and that's where the opportunity is.
It's giving them confidence, David. I think that's incredibly important. That we could just have words, couldn't we? We could just say, yeah, we're going to fix that, but this is documented. Yeah. This is in a plan. This has a time scale. This has resource that we're pushing forward. Dan and Paul have gone and told the city. Where our shareholders, where we're going to be, there is no hiding here, is there? This is the bit that's really exciting for me, is that this is just words and a bit of a plan on a bit of a paper. There's a hell of a lot, and I think my kind of call to arms is just having that patience. But if I was in the depots or being the colleagues, then I would hope that there's trust now that we are talking about all the challenges they're experiencing, but more importantly, we're doing something about it. It's how fast we get there is the next step.
And I think where we're at so far, I think we're now at a stage where people are beginning to see change happen. And I think it's all very well talking about change, sort of theoretically, but actually I think people are now starting to see some fruition from the conversations and the work that, people have been doing.
I've got it.
Here we have the voice of the gods is always a cue for me to sort of stop talking and move
is that
along as well.
In rank again?
Yeah, it is once again. Yeah. So I think just as we come towards the end of our conversation, I think the Expo is always a really good opportunity to where we can reflect on what we've done over the past year since we last met here, which I think we've done. But I think what it does is it allows us to sort of reflect, right, when we come here in 12, 18 months, 15 months, whenever that is again, what will I be asking you about to report on the progress next? So where would you like us to be in sort of 12, 15 months down the line? And I know that's a really challenging question, and I'm not...
Different answer from me.
We may see a bit of conflict for the first time, I think. So, say, 12, 15 months, what would success look like, and what will we be talking about that we've delivered?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the principles that we're getting to is we want to see lots of, I'll say, small steps forward across lots of different areas. So trying to avoid big bang go lives, so these sort of huge milestones, but actually testing and learning, moving forward as we go. So the reason I say that is because what I actually expect is lots of progress in lots of areas, all moving forward in those incremental steps. There'll definitely be some clear areas. You can see on the stand today something like our customer voice platform with Qualtrics. In the next few months, we'll start to see some data coming out from that as we start to use that. That'll be one of the first things going live. I think the digital channels as well, we're getting some really great momentum behind that. So I'm expecting you to have to start to see that emerge over the next 12 months. I think we talk about CRM as well. Yeah, that's one of the big things we want to get after. And more tools and capabilities into some of our hire direct and our desks around CS. Yeah, we started that already, but we'll start to see that incrementally improve and go further as well. So that's mean what you're starting to see is steps across lots of areas, all moving forward.
There's not kind of one that you then just finish and start. It's so progressive, isn't it? But I think similar to, I think the D365 CS, which is the customer solutions and the trading bit around understanding an input of where our calls are coming from and our orders are coming, and make sure that inquiry is sourced to the right person in the right location to give speed of quote. There's a huge amount of work that probably hasn't, if we're being honest, as fast as we wanted it to go, and that's part of learning with transformation, that doesn't always go to plan straight away. But I think seeing that and the benefits is massive. Logistics, I love it that Rob's standing there. But in 12 months, we start the trial in Yorkshire. Kelly's here in June, July, something. Is it the first real trial of how we're going to move our equipment? So I think in 12 to 18 months, I'm expecting the whole business ready. And that's huge. Yeah. That's massive. And I won't do the people bit. That sounds, Ellie's done the people bit, but all the people first strategy stuff, the more we're doing, we should have a fully fledged work-life balance program in 18 months as well. So, but you're right, Paul, I want the CRM. I want to understand the pipeline. I want to know the best use of our sales colleagues and the resource and what we're going to win, and an effective where we go and put more equipment to support our customers. So I can go on forever, but I just want it done next week, and unfortunately it's not that simple.
Yeah. And it's a complex plan. So you can tell there's a hell of a lot going on here, and the one thing I can pretty much guarantee is that plan will evolve and change as we go through. And we want to make commitments to the teams when they're going to see change, but we've also got to accept that that plan will adapt and evolve as we learn more, and as we actually our priorities may change. And not be afraid of that. That's not a sign of failure. Actually, that's a sign of we've learned something new, and we now know more than we did previously, and we're able to adapt to it. So we should see those adjustments as real positive things, not as negative. And again, that's quite a cultural shift actually for the organisation.
100%, and I think taking that approach generally, not just within transformation, but I think as a business, for us to take more risks, I think is a good thing, because ultimately, as you say, if you don't test and learn, you don't learn. So I think you're 100% right on that. So that really brings us, and I appreciate this is something that we could probably talk about, for much longer. But I think we've had a really good conversation today about, where we've came from, where we're going, but ultimately what opportunities this presents us in the future. So, thank you very much for your contribution today. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.